Shall we do number 5?
Let's do number 5.
Number 5. So my number 5 is someone who I went to another interview with. So I have interviewed this person, but this book I actually went to their event for. And it's Dead Rich by William Shaw.
Do you know what? I haven't. It's here. Look, hold on. Which way am I? It's there. I have not read this yet. It is driving me insane because I never, ever, ever wait to read William Shaw's books. Never. If I've got one, I read it, and there has been no time, and it's driving me mad. Tell us about it.
We both went to the reading party for it, didn't we, Sam?
Yeah.
And it's excellent. The reading party was so much fun. It was my first one. Never been to one before. Really enjoyed it. It was a really interesting way to sort of launch a book. I thought it was a fascinating kind of.
Yeah.
I'd go to more of them. What I like about it is that Williams tried to he describes it as trying to put a modern spin on kind of the sort of adventure stories you would get told by people like Neville Shute or Wilbur Smith. And I love Neville Shute's books. And I grew up reading things like Wilbur Smith. My dad used to love them. So it was already like interesting me, but it's kind of a modern thriller set on like super yachts, and there's lots of things about this book that kind of not the thing I would normally buy and read, but it is so well written. The characters are so good. The plot is just amazing. Like he will trip you up, Sam. You're not going to get this one.
Ooh, challenge extended.
And it's just it is a classic adventure story. It could be like a Neville Shute story, but now, and it is just so good. He's 100% achieved the goal that he set himself out for, and I cannot wait to see what else he writes with this pen name.
I always get fascinated when authors change their pen name, and I always wonder why. I don't know why Williams changed his pen name for this, but it's probably because of a change of genre slightly, and as Kaz has described it, it's more an adventure book. I mean, more intrigued now.
I mean, there is a lot of there is crime. There's bodies aplenty. You're not going to be missing a murder or two in it. There is, for the people who like a bit of blood and murder, he keeps you satisfied with that as well. But it's just a really good story.
Just to say how much I am looking forward to reading this book. I went to an event in London earlier this year, and I turned around. I was stood talking to another author, and I turned round and spotted William Shaw, stood a few feet away from me, turned back round, kind of jumped up and down, involuntarily bouncing. Wasn't planned, I was just jumping up and down, and everyone around me is chuckling. And then I kind of calmed myself down and went and said hello. And then obviously told him that I jumped up and down because I can't keep my gob shut. And he just kind of gave me a big smile and a big hug. And he was like, I already feel like we've met because we've spoken quite a lot online. And we'll message each other and things. So, but yeah, that was an exciting moment. So I cannot wait to read this book, and I'm thrilled that he's in your top 10.
And he's so lovely in person, isn't he? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say. He's an absolute legend of a person, isn't he? He's an all-round nice guy. He's a good author and an all-round nice.
I feel like we all need pom-poms to cheer.
We do. We're all in William Shaw fan club.
Absolutely.
You're number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to? Your number 5 was The Clockwork Girl by Anna Mazzola.
The Clockwork Girl by Anna Mazzola is very interesting because yet again it's another historical one, but it's the third that she'd written, I think. And I think, Kaz, you had on the Halloween event. I think it might have been last year, was it?
Oh, I do not. That's the test of my memory. We have
Yeah.
Hannah on. She is fantastic.
Yeah, I just love the premise for this one, because it's like there's a girl who is lives in a brothel, and it's she's because she's got trouble with the birthmark. She finds it difficult for people to deal with her the way she is, and then she goes to investigate this clockmaker on behalf of the police that have turned up, in order to try and get away from the brothel, because it's not somewhere she wants to stay, and it's just so intriguing, because the clockmaker and his daughter, who she's gone to be the maid for, is such an interesting relationship, and it also involves French royalty as well, which is quite interesting, because you get to see so many different layers of the characters as well, and I just can't wait to read more of her writing, because I really enjoyed it, and I really wasn't expecting to enjoy it so much. But after I met her in Theakston's in the tent, I just determined to read the book, and thanks to Isis for sending us a review copy too. Yeah.
Oh, Sam, number 5.
Okay, I cheated. This is where I have 2 books on one thing, and that's how you know that I really couldn't split them. So we've got See No Evil by David Fennell, and we've got Quiet Wolf by Morgan Green. Now, the reason that they are on the same one is because, sorry if you're eating your tea watching this, some of the similarities are in the dark communities that are within them, the fact that people are having their eyes removed, as well as various other bits. So we've got, kind of people with various bits of things removed, but the lack of eyes in the sockets and the dark communities are the basic similarities between the books. But for 2 authors to have a similar central idea and then write such different books with such different styles, and they're set in different countries. So David's is in England, in London. Morgan's is in Sweden, and there's just they're fantastic. I can't say enough just how much of an impact both of these books had when I read them. And if you enjoy one, you're gonna love the other as well. So I couldn't split them. I couldn't choose one over the other, because they were just both so fantastic. A bit grim. We are the crime book club, UK crime book club, so you do expect a bit of grim sometimes in the books. They're just fantastic. They're just absolutely fantastic books. And, they've got other books in the series as well. So the Jamie Johansson series by Morgan Green, and then we've got the Grace Archer series by David Fennell. So, yeah, they're just fantastic. I love the detectives in them, the weird people that are in them, and the exciting people, and the weird communities, and the darkness. There's just so much to love about both of these books. So yeah. I refuse to choose, and you can't make me.
I've heard a lot about David Fennell, especially the first one in the series, that the
Art of Death.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're on the internet the whole time, but and just hearing him talk about the plot makes me scared about it, and makes me
such a good book.
The protection online. You just make sure you're so careful after even hearing about it. Yeah, definitely.
It is a really good book. I've Sammed one of my choices later on. There's a new word for picking 2 at the same in one.
Fair enough.
So I thought, if you could do it, I'm going to join.
I did wonder if that's why you'd done it, because I just didn't want to choose. And you've made me cut my list so much that I refuse to choose on some of them. not
Well,
happening.
yeah, when I get to mine, I'll explain why I've done it. But I thought if Sam can do it, I can. So
Love
Yeah.
me, love my rule breaking. That's it.
definitely.
So go on, Kaz, number 4.
So this is why I've said these are in no particular order, because mine have gone a bit weird, and my top 3 are not going to be crime. But just because I wrote these down as I was thinking of them, so it was like a bit of a stream of consciousness. That's why I said only number 1 is number 1. My number 4 is a debut book.
Okay.
It's not the only debut book on my list. It is set in York, which is a beautiful city that I love a lot. I got married in York, so it's very special to me. And it's 5 down.
Oh, you raved about Tom Simpson's book.
I absolutely love this. So it is a debut book. There are some, as you read it, Tom acknowledges this as well. There are some sort of rookie author sort of errors in it, but it is such an innovative book. So well written. I have not read anything like this year. There is a killer in it who is sending cryptic clues into the newspaper, almost taunting the police and the newspaper person to catch them. So they are like, I am going to kill this person. Here's a cryptic clue of where I'm going to do it. Come and get me.
Ooh, Tom.
That sounds so intriguing. Yeah.
Cryptic crossword clue, and you can try and solve them. Tom will tell you how he's written the riddles. They're kind of explained when they work it out quite often, after in the book. Yeah. And it's so clever, like such a clever idea for a plot that I cannot wait to see what Tom writes next. Like, he is one to watch for sure.
I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to come across on audio, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it really is like a cracking, like you said in Christie's book, this is such a cracking debut just because of the kind of concept and the intelligence that has gone into writing it. You know that whatever else comes out of is going to be
I love high concept books anyway. Yeah.
I would be rubbish. Can you imagine if somebody was trying to get me to solve a riddle via a cryptic crossword clue? My brain would go to fog.
No, and I couldn't solve. So, like I said, I love York. I go there regularly. Like, I know the city really well. Could not solve the clues as I was reading it at all, and you'd feel like I'd have an advantage knowing where it was written, but no.
Did you kick yourself afterwards?
100%, yeah.
Excellent, Tom. Well done.
Yeah.
Sign of a good book, that is, whether you kick yourself.
And Tom is another person, a bit like when we talked about William, who's an absolute legend. Like, such a nice guy to interview as well.
Really intrigued about that one.
Definitely go and buy it. It's well worth the read. Alex, number 4.
Sorry, Kaz. I know this is going to sound awful, isn't it? I'm not prepared.
This is my fault. I made us cancel last week because I hadn't been very well at all, and I am the reason you have forgotten Alex. So stop apologising. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
And unlike me and Sam, you are doing it without notes, so no need to apologise. You had number 4 as Exit by Belinda Bauer.
Oh, Exit is fantastic, people. If you want to read something about characters not expecting and plot lines you wouldn't expect, Exit was brilliant. And I think that Exit was one of the interviews that I did earlier in the year, which you can find on the group, because I interviewed Belinda on the group, and it was something that had me laughing and joking about an old guy who goes into houses and helps people die. You wouldn't think that that's a storyline that would make you laugh, but not this guy is so funny, and the things he gets up to, and also the complicated relationships between the people he helps die and the other people that he realizes that there might be some dodgy people that aren't doing it for honest reasons. And I'll just leave it there because the plot line is so interesting that you'll enjoy reading it and you'll laugh at unexpected places too.
I have got this on my Kindle because it was recommended to me, and I have been waiting for months. And because of how much people have raved about Belinda Bauer's books, I've got more than one. I've got maybe 4 or 5 books already bought, waiting for time to read them. So I might have to just ditch you both for a year and just go and read, catch up on my TBR pile. Can't do it. It's too exciting.
Not allowed, Sam. You can't ditch me for a year.
Not allowed, no.
Wouldn't dream of it, really. Even as I said it, there was like a little bit of me going, no. Can't do that.
You're number 4, Sam?
Oh, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Oh, I love this woman. Just give me a moment. Oh, Kaz knows where this is going. Alex, you might know where this is going. She's been on my list every year. She was my number 1 book last year. Oh, Sheila Bugler, I adore you. This is You Were Always Mine, number 4 on my list. So it's a Dee Doran book. Dee Doran's a journalist, and a bit like J.B. Fletcher, things happen. Maybe don't sit next to her on a plane. But she goes looking. She's fantastic, and she is always looking to find the answers to things, and she is brilliant. She follows strands of the mystery that other people would maybe miss. You know, she's an investigative journalist, so she sees things that other people don't. So she's got problems in her personal life and different things going on, and alongside that, a woman called Cassie has got in touch with her. Cassie was in prison, and she's come out, and she was put in prison for killing her husband, Paul. And she swears she didn't do it. So she enlists Dee's help to prove it. She wants to find who did do it. So while she was in prison, her daughter Grace was adopted and hasn't seen her. So Grace is almost an adult now. And one day Cassie goes missing, and then all hell breaks loose. All these different things happen, all these different strands to the story, all these secrets, all the things that people have been keeping to themselves, thinking they're the only ones with secrets. Everything comes to light. This is one where I didn't really know where it was going after all of my I know where things are going. I didn't. And just anything that Sheila writes, I absolutely love. It's happened with every single book so far. She's always on my list. So yeah.
Is that a latest one, Tom? Yeah.
Yes, it is the latest one. I've actually got it behind me, but I daren't take it off the shelf and knock everything over. Because we all know I'm a bit clumsy.
Good excuse, Sam. Good excuse. I mean, we can also.
I only did it about 2 days ago, Alex. I knocked everything over.
Oh dear. We can all see how many books you got behind you, but show the room how many books you've got in there, Kaz. Because
this is just we've got hundreds. It's insane.
I'll show a little bit of mine. It's so messy though. Don't judge the messiness.
It's a stack of books.
It is, and this is my signed bookshelf, or one of them.
That's just a sign of how much we love the job we're in, isn't it?
If you want messy, I could show you my office and my desk.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I show authors just to they go, oh, I've hidden things out of the way, and I go, hold on, and I pick my camera up and show them, and then they calm down.
There's a reason I only showed you that side.
It wasn't that bad, Kaz. It was fine.
Yeah, you haven't seen the rest of the.
I'm not moving my camera, not a chance.
No, this camera.
Mike Craven already calls my bookshelves ratty, so I'm not showing you the rest of it.
Definitely not going around the rest of the room. No.
I just don't know what my house would be like if my books weren't digital. There you go.
That's the thing. I've got a lot on my Kindle. It does help. I can't even imagine. I could already build a fort that I could live in. So.
I mean, to be fair, you are quite small, so.
Which is always the thing, you know, when we went to Wigan, and everyone was saying kind of at this event how tiny I was. When I was at Capital Crime, that was the thing. Aren't you short? Yes, I'm 5 foot. People assume I'm tall on camera. Don't know why. You can only see this. You know, like I'm voguing. Can't even remember how to vogue because I'm looking at myself doing it in the camera. My arms aren't going where I think. But yeah, I am. I'm tiny.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. I used to get the most piggybacks as a kid.
Yeah.
That's number 3 before I waffle anymore about being short.
Do we do number 3 or do we do our honourable mentions?
Oh,
before we go
okay.
into top 3.
I'm going to need to rustle some papers.
I feel like we should do some honourable mentions before we go into the top 3. I think now is the time. I'm happy. I've got about 5 honourable mentions, so I'm happy.
I feel like a right cheat.
You want to start us off with your honourable mentions?
Me?
No, Alex.
Oh, go on, Alex.
Alex has got.
I've only got 3, I think.
Yeah, Alex has got a sensible amount of them, so we're going to let Alex go first.
I think I'll start with my foreign author on the list, which everybody should know because it's John Grisham. Because with the UK Crime Book Club, I thought that, you know, it's not really fair to put him in the top 10 because we focus purely on UK authors generally. So yeah, this is his latest one, which is a story which follows 2 families, one that's a legal-based family and one that's a gangland family, and it's called The Boys from Biloxi, and it's about how the 2 families over 30 years fight with each other about how to control Biloxi as a place, and it's really intriguing because I just love legal thrillers anyway, and there's so many good legal thrillers, but I always think that John Grisham is the god of the legal thriller, and he has been since about 1991. But there you go, that's my bias there. There we are.
And your other 2?
And
then say, Alex, you're cheating. We're only supposed to be naming them. I'll be here all week if I have to tell you about all 5 of mine.
That's fine. I just got in the flow there. And then I believe that my other 2 are actually, is it the same author?
Nope. You had City of Vengeance by D.B. Bishop.
Yeah.
And A Good Day to Die by Amon Along.
Yeah. A Good Day to Die by Eamon Alonge is a debut which I read in February, which the interview is also available on UK Crime Book Club. But it was so good that I had to include it in my book on debuts too. So if you've not seen it on UK Crime Book Club and you want to read it in full, it's available there too. I just love Gangland anyway, and having interviewed Gillian Godden for the more experienced side of the Gangland part of the book, I just love the way that Gangland can go in all kinds of different angles, and Sam and Kaz know how funny Gillian is.
Absolutely love Gillian.
Yeah,
woman's a legend.
She is. And you cannot, I defy you to spend any time with Gillian, not just have face ache from smiling so much.
Yeah.
You better say something about D.B. Bishop's book, Alex, seeing as you said something about the other 2.
Well, the reason I've gone for D.B. Bishop was because he's the experienced side of the historical part of the book. I just thought that the only reason he's an honourable mention is because I couldn't decide which of the 2 was the better one. And just like Sam says, I want you to encourage you to read the whole of the series. So let's start with number 1. The protagonist has got such a complicated name. Unfortunately, I have to say to you, Google it because I can't pronounce it.
I can't pronounce anything. You're fine.
It's in Florence, and it's based in, I think, around about the 15th century, and it's based around the real death of the Medicis, and also transvestite as well, which is really quite interesting. But as David will tell you, that Florence back then was where people congregated in that. It's just really interesting kind of book, and the arc of the series is fantastic. And I must say, you must read number 2, because if you've not read number 1, make sure you read them in the right order, please. And I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
Well, go on.
I'm going to do my honourable mentions because mine follow on nicely from Alex's.
Okay.
Because I did a crime and graphic novel panel for Spookfest, which was legitimately one of my favourite panels to ever do at one of my favourite festivals. Because I love a graphic novel, and I've been really sensible so far on this list and not put one in yet. Have you noticed?
No, I have noticed. Yeah.
No weird stuff so far. So
you only put one in, don't you? Yeah.
Oh no, there are some coming. D.V. Bishop was on that panel because he has an epic kind of graphic novel background, but also on there was Anthony Johnston, who wrote The Coldest City, which is one of my honourable mentions. Also published, made into the film Atomic Blonde. Absolutely cracking Cold War spy story.
I love the film. Brilliant film.
Other honourable mentions for me, this was number 2 on my list until this morning, this book, which is Whispering by Hayley Hoskins. It's like paranormal YA based on real events. So very worth reading. I've got another graphic novel, I've got Spy Family, which is manga and really good. And my final one is Children of Time. And Children, I've actually only got Children of Ruin here. Sci-fi with sentient spiders and octopi.
Complicated.
All I'm going to say, and it is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I've just added another book. So I've got 6 honourable mentions, but I'm just going to say the authors and titles.
Go on, go quick. I tried to go quick.
I will go quick. Okay. Fairies Creatures by Karen Taylor. Oh, so good. Peter Boone should have been on my list last year and the year before, but I got confused about where my cut-off dates were, so I just completely didn't mention him. I'm sorry, Peter Boone, I adore you. And his Edward Crisp mysteries are fantastic. Start with Who Killed Miss Finch, read your way through, absolutely brilliant. Peter is somebody who often trips me up. I guess bits, I don't guess all of it. And we're both kind of happy with that. Tony Millington, Keep Your Friends Close, the Watson and Monteith series, was on my list last year, on my list again this year. I just adore them. Guy Hale, the Jimmy Wayne series, so far it's Killing Me Softly and Blood on the Tracks. Absolutely fantastic, a little bit different, quirky, just really fun, as well as being a bit grim. MJ Williams, Matt, The Velocity of Blood. It's, I will have to say this, it is a story about, it's controversial. It's a school shooting told from the eyes of the shooter, but there is, yeah, I know, but it's really, really good. It's really well done, and there's donations to charity from each book, so go and look that up. And Ben Westwood, Green Shoots, which is an eco-thriller. They are my 6, and I had to get Karen Taylor in there, so there we go. Whizzed through them.
You did.
Number 3, Kaz.
Number 3, okay. So I said I was well behaved. I'm not now.
Have I broken it? Has all hell broken loose now?
Yeah, it's all going random from here. So my number 3 is Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Yeah.
Which you can read. I'm reading it as a manga. You can read as a novel. So they're called a light novel when they're based on mangas.
Okay.
You can actually buy the book form of these, and I think they were published as a book first. They are about the sort of what is called an isekai in manga. So essentially, the girl in this is reincarnated in another world as a young girl, but she has all of the memories from her past life. In her past life, she died crushed under the pile of books that she was about to read.
Oh, it could happen to any one of us.
Exactly. She dies a proper bookworm death, and then she's born into a world where she's poor, can't afford like books, and all she wants to do is read. So she has to work out, if she can't get a book because she can't afford them, how is she going to make books?
Oh my God, that'd be my hell, wouldn't it, yours? Not
So,
without a
That made me sadder than killing off one of the main characters.
but it is like, she's this really cute, like, this is the character, right? So she's this really cute little girl. She's quite naive. She has no real kind of social skills from her other life that will come across, if you know what I mean. She didn't sort of have them. She was just a bookworm.
Yeah.
And she just wants to be a bookworm in this life, and she just wants to work out how to make books. And it's written by bookworms for bookworms. If you love books, it's just an adorable series, and I've discovered it this year and read. I'm on part 2. It's in part of a series, if that makes sense. I've read all of part 1 and I'm on part 2 now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Alex, your number 3 is.
Could you remind me again, Kat, please?
The Undiscovered Deaths of Grace McGill. And is that Craig Robertson? Because I did not write down the author. I'm very sorry.
It is Craig Robertson, but it's under his pen name, just like just like some other people on the list. Pen names are great, but it's really confusing when you're trying to find people. I interviewed Craig about this as part of my Bloody Scotland build-up for this year. It was a brilliant book because it's based around a crime scene cleaner, of all things. And I must admit, I was greatly gratified to think that another reviewer that writes for newspapers agreed with me this year. So just because that was in their top 5 as well. So I think she writes for The Guardian, so I feel in great company. Great book. I love it. It's so different and such a really interesting concept, because a crime scene cleaner goes into all places where you wouldn't want to go and has to make sure that the building is livable for the next person that moves in. But it's not just that, because she makes up dioramas of the crime scene. But there's a lot more complicated things in there. But I won't say anything else other than it's really dark and there's hidden secrets. But as you read Craig Robertson before, you know that he doesn't exactly not do. He's not a cozy kind of writer, is he?
And it's under C.S. Robertson, this one. I've just Googled it.
Yeah.
While we were filming that bit, Sam, you froze on a really cool face.
Don't I always? Did I do one of these where I look like I'm going to sneeze? Like that? That's
no,
often.
It was like a one-eye shut one.
Good job I'm not precious. My face is my face. It does weird things.
I just thought you'd like to know.
I'm going to tell all the members what you lot have done in the past. Sometimes I'll be live and I'll get a shot of my face into the admin chat while I'm live, showing me the freeze frame. And it's always me looking like I'm about to sneeze, or, when I'm mid-panic because I'm knocking all the books over, stuff like that. And they send me pictures.
Thank God you never did that to me. Thank God for that.
No, it's fine. It's all in good fun.
Your number 3, Sam?
Oh, I can't talk now. Okay, this book. Oh my word! I'm going to. I've not done this with any of the other books. I'm literally going to read what I've written down because in this book, the author Adam Hamdy, the book is The Other Side of Night. He actually requests that you're really careful with what you write and that you don't give anything away. Because if you knew even one bit of parts of this book, it would spoil it. And he specifically requests no spoilers. And
Ooh,
this
wow.
is a book where you have no idea where it's going. It's written. No, I'm going with. I'm not ad-libbing at all on this one. I love this book. I thought it was it kind of eases you in gently, and then by the time you get to the end of it, oh, I ugly cried at parts of this book. I
Oh.
laughed, I loved it. Oh, so I actually have written down, I'm literally going to read you the blurb and then forgot that I'd written it. Being professional again. So that was how I was going to get out of not messing it up. And then I forgot and messed it up. So, when disgraced former police officer Harriet Keelty discovers a plea for help in the margins of a second-hand book, she sets out to unravel a mystery that quickly leads her to confront some uncomfortable ties to her own life, including her ex-lover Ben. Following the deaths of his close friends, Ben became an adoptive father to their orphan son, Elliot. But Harriet suspects that Ben knows more about these deaths than he's willing to say. What starts as a simple investigation becomes something entirely different in this moving story that will open hearts and minds as it answers the question, what would you do for one more moment with someone you love? There is crime in this. I'm going to see what else. Oh, and I've written, that's it. Message me once you've read it and we'll talk. That's literally all I'm going to say because Adam's request needs to be honoured and I will hunt down anyone who spoils this for anybody else. End of rant. I honestly, I loved it. I loved it. Harriet is great. She's fantastic. There's just, see, I'm thinking about it now, and I cried so hard at parts of this. Well done, Adam Hamdy. Well done. That's it. Move on. Kaz, number 2.
I summed my number 2, and I'm completely got no notes because I've changed this today and I've been at work. And I haven't even finished the second book that is sharing the space on this, but I like it so much. It is going on even though I've not finished it.
We are breaking all the rules, people.
Breaking all the rules.
That's a definite new one. Yeah.
Definitely. They're not crime. They're not even fiction. The books are my number 2. But they are going to my other love, which is science, because I'm a science teacher. I studied science. Think like a scientist. I'm married to a scientist. It's a subject I enjoy. And I studied genetics, but I like sort of learning about viruses. I did loads of microbiology study. So finding books that I find interesting in that field are fantastic. And my first book, these kind of go together for me, these 2 books, because they're kind of both sides of a coin about healthcare. So my first book is the good side, and it's Faxes, which is probably like my first read of the year, actually.
You raved about this book, yeah.
I absolutely raved about this book. It is the story of how the AstraZeneca vaccine for COVID was developed. From the very beginning of the scientists who worked in Oxford noticing that there was a weird flu to them rolling it out kind of globally and what they're going to do next. And it is absolutely fascinating for anyone. It is written so accessibly that anybody could read it.
Which was my question. Would I be able to understand it? Not the brightest button, not the shiniest button in the box.
I think anybody would understand it. It's written really,
Okay.
really, really interestingly. It's written kind of very refreshingly, sort of in a style that is not all about the science, but there's enough science in there that if you're a scientist, you'll enjoy it, and if you're not a scientist, you'll understand it. And I think it's great. And it's the good side, because this is healthcare scientists working for the benefit of humanity and helping us all.
Oh.
My other side.
We don't know where this is going, do we, Alex?
The other side of this is the book I'm reading now. I got for my birthday, so I am this far through. As you can see, still got my bookmark in. And it's Empire of Pain.
Even a third of the way through it, it still makes the list. Wow.
It does, still makes the list. It's Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden-Keefe, and it is a history of the Sackler family. If you have watched Dopesick on Disney.
Oh, I love that. Great
series.
Yeah, I've seen the
you
heard of it, heard great things about it.
You'll know exactly where this is going. So this is the bad side of health.
Yeah, I've actually got the book myself. I've just not read it.
Yeah, there are a number of books. So Dopesick is actually a book itself, but this is kind of the history of the whole family.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get that one.
From before to sort of and they essentially invented OxyContin, which is an opioid, and then marketed it as non-addictive painkiller suitable to everyone, including children. Knowingly so, even when they knew it was addictive, and started off a massive opioid crisis. And there's a lot of kind of discussion about the ethics of kind of health advertising, what you should be allowed to do, what regulations there should be.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I totally summed my number 2 by having 2 books together, but they feel like they go together so well, because you've got...
They do, because they're opposite sides of the coin, and that's why we gave Sam the option. So it makes perfect sense.
Exactly, and I think whereas yours were like a perfect kind of match because they were similar theories, mine are like...
Similar but different, yeah.
Mine are like the exact opposite ends of the coin. So you've got people dramatically helping the world in so many ways that are still happening now, and then people who did almost the exact opposite.
I really did love Dopesick. It's just a really good series.
Yeah, watching the series made me want the book, so I got it for my birthday, and I was like, reading it, I can't leave this off the list. It has to be absolutely on there.
Yeah, and I would say that is a crime book. It's not really just science, it's crime as well, because of what they got away with, or could get away with.
True, actually, it is crime, yeah.
Yeah, some real life crimes happened there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, bit true crime for everyone. Alex, your number 2 was, do you want me to remind you?
Yeah, I can remember what number 1 is, but not number 2, ironically.
2 is No Honor by Awais Khan, who I have interviewed, actually.
Oh, this was a really, really hard book to read, because I've been reading a whole series of books on domestic violence, because one of the things I've been doing this year is writing a book around domestic violence for charity, and I just had to include honor killings in there. And Awais Khan had written this book, and I just thought, I can't not read it. And it was such a hard book to read. I mean, it opens with sorry for being graphic, but it opens with a baby being drowned in milk.
Wow.
So, yeah, not exactly.
Well, that's new.
The most pleasant way of opening the book, but yeah.
Certainly attention grabbing.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can imagine where it's going to go if it starts there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's just how the rest of the family tries to protect her and stuff. It's just really kind of really hard to read, but it made a really good interview. So, and I hope that the book, when it comes out, helps people, because it's every penny is going to a local Nottinghamshire DV charity. So hopefully people will enjoy reading about and learning about DV. And it's actually got a short story in there written by me as well. So there we go.
It does sound like a really important topic to be covering. The
Absolutely.
hardest reads are often the most important ones.
Yeah, it means a lot to me as well, because I had 10 years in the voluntary sector in court, helping victims of DV face the perpetrators, trying to get them in jail. So
Yeah, domestic violence is often a topic that's covered brilliantly, but it's such a painful topic.
Yeah, definitely, really important subject to cover.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that I managed to read all those books, and this one was definitely a shock, because honour killings are something that we don't really talk about in the UK, because we just kind of avoid it and put it under the carpet, I suppose. Yeah.
Mark Billingham wrote a brilliant one, Love Like Blood, that I read a few years ago. Yeah. Very, very difficult subject matter. Very important to be aware of it.
It is.
Light-hearted note, Sam, of horrible people setting off opioid crises and books about domestic violence. What's your number 2?
Okay. Let me give you a clue. Tilly! Can you see where I'm going?
Yeah, it's got to be a cross with Kaz's. I think it's got to be the botanist.
It may have already come up during this session, but yeah, anytime I ever see Mike Craven, MW Craven, that's the first thing he says to me. So yeah, there we go. The botanist, MW Craven. Don't tell him, but the man's a genius. Nobody does dark and funny like Mike Craven. And I am going to say something very unpopular. Are you ready? I was really thinking about this. I don't think you can be either Team Poe or Team Tilly. Anyone who thinks you can choose is wrong. You are wrong. If you think you can choose, you need both of them. You need Poe and Tilly together.
Yeah,
it's so important. Yeah. I wrote down that I would quite boldly say that, because people are probably throwing things at the screen, but you're wrong.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, Sam. I think you're absolutely right, because their relationship is just fabulous. Although I've only read a couple of the books, I've read the first one and the previous one to The Botanist, and I just think that they're both brilliant.
Dead Ground.
Yeah,
it was on my list last year.
Yeah, I've also read a short story that was in the Halloween collection, where they both played the rear end and the front end of a horse. So Poe and Tilly doing that says hilarious things, I'm sure you can imagine. That was part of the Light collection. The Halloween, I can't remember the name of the book.
No, I can't think. I can see the cover. I can't think what it's called.
It's got a pumpkin on it, as far as I can remember, but I can't remember the title. We're gonna...
Off the top of my head, it's on my Kindle.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Botanist, absolutely fantastic. I mean, dude's killing people like a sodding magician. Nobody knows how he's doing it. People are getting a warning that, you know, this person is going to die. And the people that are being killed are vacuous idiots and not based on anyone real in particular.
Wink, wink.
And I think that who does dark and funny like this, where you will laugh on every page because there's a stinky goat or because somebody's done something to somebody else, but then the clues are hidden in the laughter. You're laughing and enjoying the book so much that you don't see the mystery, you don't see what's going on, and nobody does it like he does. It's just fantastic. You're right. The reason he's got such a good fan base is, he does have this relationship. He's very self-deprecating. We take the mickey out of him all the time. That's mine and Mike's whole relationship. He's taking the mickey out of each other. And him shouting Tilly at me. But actually, there's a big brain in that head, and his books are fantastic and dark and thought-provoking, and they're just absolutely brilliant. If you're going to be guffawing and ugly laughing whilst trying to figure out a mystery, then absolutely brilliant. So I think Dead Ground was number 6 last year. The Botanist is number 2 this year. So I'm looking forward to the Mercy Chair next year. Let's go, Mike.
Really dark. You could draw some interesting comparisons with one of Mike's favourite authors, which is Terry Pratchett.
Still haven't read any Terry Pratchett. Now you can all throw stuff at me again.
We will. Me and Mike definitely will.
They're ganging up on me, Alex.
Even I've read some.
I do plan to.
It's just,
he's another one who hides a lot of kind of pathos and story in the funny.
Yeah.
And I think Mike is quite good at sort of drawing your attention away with a Tilly wisecrack or a funny joke, and you're not realizing like the clever things that are happening elsewhere. And he is a master at writing a clever twist, isn't he? You can't.
Yeah. Amazing.
Can't be beaten. So now we're at the big one, number 1.
Well, it's amazing.
That was my attempt at a drum roll.
Remember it.
My number 1 is going to come as literally no shock to anyone because I have not shut up about it since I read it. And it's a debut book. It's my second debut book on the list. I think I've forced several people to read it, and I think it's again going like my number 2 with my love of science. This is why it's coming in as well. It is Lessons in Chemistry.
I was going to try and pick it up off the shelf behind me, but I realised I've moved some stuff because I started tidying my ratty bookshelves, and now it's under something. So
I've not read it yet. Yeah, I've seen that cover all over Audible, and it's been in the top 100 all year long.
So go on, Kaz, tell us all about it.
Yeah.
So it's another one a bit like Mike. It's very witty. It's very light-hearted. There's a lot of laughs in it. There's a dog called 630 who is the best character in it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. But it's dealing with some really dark subjects.
Okay.
Oh.
There's a lot of like the main character is a chemist. She's a research chemist. She wants to work in science, but it's sort of set sort of enough in the past that working in science is still quite a difficult thing for a woman. She faces a lot of like sexism and misogyny and things, but she's kind of essentially pushed out of a job. Like no one will give her the credit for what she does. She can't work, and she sort of finds her way into being a TV chef. This is all in the blurb. I'm not giving away anything here. There's so much other stuff in there. As a girl in science, there is still drives to get women into science. So I think it's good that it's kind of reflecting some of those issues, you know, in a I think I when I studied science at college was the only girl on my course. And And I know there are lots of clever women in science, and I think that the issues that Elizabeth faces hopefully don't happen anymore. But we still need more women to do it. It's just such a good book. Like, it's one of those books, like, I read it every night compulsively. I read it, I was up, I was tired because I was still reading it to work out what was going to happen next. I got to the end and I wanted to just begin again.
So have you reread it then?
Not yet, but I can't wait to. It's going to be my Christmas when we've stopped reading for the author chats. I'm going to go back and reread because it's really good, and it's being turned into a TV series.
I'm definitely going to have to read it now then.
Yeah, and it's one. So, like I said with Mike, where it spread word of mouth, I think that is what's happening with this. It's been such a good debut novel that people are reading it and then doing like me. They won't shut up. They'll be like, "Have you read?" And then anyone asks me, "What's your book recommendation?" And if I know they don't like crime, I'm automatically like lessons in chemistry.
You've sold a lot of copies of this book.
I have.
You've caused big discussions all over social media. You have sold a lot. A lot of people have said that they've bought it because you've read it and they've loved it.
I've sold about 3 copies in recent weeks just to people I work with as well.
I don't know why we've not got a bookshop, guys. We should have a bookshop.
I know, we should.
Well, yeah, I've said that before. Yeah, I've said it.
Just like a commission from like random authors.
We just spend it on more books though, so you know.
We love a book.
We do.
We absolutely would. This copy, right, is my copy. It is not the only copy that is currently in my house.
Doesn't surprise me.
How good that book is.
Wow.
So, Alex, you're number 1. How are you going to?
Hold on, we need another drum roll.
Yeah, because one I can actually remember. Brian McGilloway's Blood Ties, and it's just a really intriguing book, and it was another one that was on the Theakston's list, which I just love being involved in that. It's just brilliant because you don't know who you're going to read or what's going to happen. But when he got nominated for the shortlist last year, I knew that this was going to be good. I just knew it, and so is. But yet again, it's not going to be for everybody because it involves rape. So, unfortunately, I'm not weird, but I do like a dark book.
We all like dark books in different ways.
Yeah, it's just the way he gets the impact of it. It's just in there as well, and it's just this guy dies, and they're just trying to work out how he's done it and why he's died, and going back into the past is one of the things I really enjoy about a book, is going back into the past and finding out why things happen. It's just really dark and quite gloomy, and the twist at the end is brilliant. Just so unexpected, and I know I'm going to read more McGilloway, and I know eventually he's going to win Theakston's or something big, because he deserves to.
One of these I'll recommend to you, Alex, is The Empty Room. I read that this year, and it was another amazing book that was very close to being on the list. So when I saw that he was your number 1, I thought, well, there's another book I can recommend to you.
Yeah, I think that's his new one, isn't it?
It is,
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll more than likely get round to that one. Yeah, because you never know what he's going to cover, and because I know the background to that one, because he mentions it on stage and something involving his dad. It's a bit sad as well, isn't it, Sam, that one? Yeah.
There is it's a very powerful book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to interview him about it, and I've seen him talk about it as well. And yeah, I won't say anything. It's a standalone, so you don't have to dip into the series. You can just, you know, read that
Yeah.
one and then go back to the series when you've got time. But yeah, I would highly recommend
Yeah.
that as well. There we go. We've got another honourable mention in.
So we've had Kaz's number one. We've had my number one. Now, what's yours, Sam?
Double drum roll. Oh, I've told anyone who'll listen about this book for ages. People ask me about books. Yeah. Before we even, when we did we were talking about the top 10, Kaz knew what it was going to be before we even started kind of thinking about it. I can't remember. It was a while ago when I interviewed Karen McKinley about The Storytellers, which is my number one book of the year. It's not really a crime book. So there are for the first maybe half of the book, you would think why would she even have that on a crime list? But actually, towards the end, there are criminal acts. So there are things that, if you are concerned about reading domestic violence or coercive control, this might not be the book for you. This is one of the books that I think I wish I'd read when I was younger. Learning respect for yourself, learning respect for other people and how to treat people. It's a tricky one to recommend a certain age group because there's a lot of sex in the book. So I can't think just how graphic it is, but you wouldn't be giving this to young teenagers anyway. There are sex clubs in the book. So, you know, you're looking at older teenagers. It is a fantastic book. I can't tell you just enough how much I love this book. So there are three women on a beach and there's a gatekeeper and they're in the afterlife, but they're in kind of a limbo. It's, can they make it into the afterlife or not? And I can see what you're thinking. This is really crimey sounding, but bear with me. So these three women have to prove that they knew love in their life, real love in their lives. And they don't really remember who they were. And then as they're stood on the beach, the waves are coming at them, not at them, you know, the waves are lapping onto the shore and the memories start to come back to them. And just as you kind of start to learn a little bit about one of the women, it cuts to the next chapter. And you constantly, it's so good. It is so good. Emma Christie recommended Karen McKinley to me, and Emma, you just a marvel. Thank you for recommending her. There's just so much to love about this book. How much can I say without spoiling it? This is the thing. Because I could literally sit and talk about this book on its own for an hour, maybe without even spoiling it, without even really getting into it. But it's just so wonderful.
You've done a good job of it so far. I've read this book as well.
And I've got it on my list, and we discussed it because
we did, because you were looking for a crime book, and I said it's a brilliant book, but it's not necessarily. You were looking for a full kind of a crime book, whereas this just has little elements of crime.
Yeah, I was looking for gothic crime, but I'm still really looking forward to reading it because I've heard Karen talk about it twice on one of Emma Christie's shows, and you know, it just sounds like such a really intriguing book. I mean, the afterlife and I just love gothic kind of elements, and ghosts are great anyway. So yeah, really looking forward to reading it. And
you should. It's an absolutely fantastic book. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And the mad thing is, this is Karen's debut. Karen has no clue how good she is. There's not a fault in this book. Just, for me, the storyline, the things that happen, the interactions, it was perfect. And I chose it because it made me feel a certain way. And I just thought, the amount of people who could benefit from reading this book, it's astonishing. It should just be recommended reading. Like, if you're watching this, if it doesn't sound like the book for you, read it anyway. You don't have to read the bits about the sex club if you're not a person who's into reading that. Absolutely fine. Skip that section. You just need to read the rest of it. I will just sit here for another 2 hours and rave about this book. I'd show you my signed copy of it, but I'm moving my office about and I can't reach it from here without knocking things over. So
I feel like that, and this is why I think it's interesting that there's 2 debut books on our
don't do it.
I feel exactly that way about Lessons in Chemistry. It has got so many important messages to women in general and to anyone about like finding your way in life that you just need to read it.
Yeah.
It's amazing that 2 like really powerful debuts are our top reads of the year.
Yeah, if you look at our top 3, they're all issue-related books, people.
Yeah.
They make great reasons for reading something. I mean, if the author's got something behind it, there's always it always makes a good book.
And what I do need to add as well is I'm sneakily adding in there is a book that would be my number 1. Absolutely.
Okay.
One, and will be my number 1 in the year it is published when it finds a publisher, hands down. And I know that because I have not read anything that surpasses it, possibly in any year.
That sounds like a massive endorsement.
It is a massive endorsement, and I'm going to follow it up. The author said I can mention it because I read it while it was with her agent. So I wanted to check, obviously, that I was okay to mention this book. And it's by Sarah Moorhead, who topped my list before. And she is trying to find a publisher for book 2. And that's a book that I read. And words cannot describe how much I loved book 2. And I was really worried that it wouldn't follow the genius of book 1. I think that's the problem, isn't it? When you get a really good debut, like the ones we were just talking about, you kind of have a bit of anxiety when you go back for book 2 because you're like, can they follow something as good as book 1? I'll just tell you, like Sarah's book 2.
That's book 1. Witness that. I was looking for the business card. If I looked like a lunatic for a minute, I was looking for that.
Book 1, which was my top book of the year, it's even better.
Well, I'm glad you said that because when I met her at Theakston's, I said to her, I've seen this book everywhere. I'm really ashamed I've not read it. Have you really been struggling to write the second one? And she said, yeah, it's been hell, but I've really enjoyed it. And she described what the plot was. So her books are so different to everything else on the market, aren't they, Kaz?
They really are. And I think they draw comparisons very favourably to Philip K. Dick, who is a classic. And I think her books will be classics of the future. And I could see me taking my husband to see the movie of this, as walking out, talking about it for hours, and then
what about your work wife? Hello.
Again. And you too?
Thank you.
I've seen it twice. And then I'd buy the DVD and watch it again. So spot all the bits that I missed the first time and the second time round. Yeah. It is that good, and it is so good, and it's so annoying that it can't be number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
I mean, Lessons in Chemistry is fantastic. No reflection on it. But I had to mention Sarah Moorhead's book, and she said I could. So.
Yeah, you were saying you wanted to mention it, and we talked about it, and I said just ask her. She's probably going to be fine with it.
Yeah, I asked, and she knows I literally stalk her. She's totally fine with it. I'm a massive fan. Harrogate, we saw each other, and it was lovely.
I met her at Crime Central, and she's just a legend. The woman's just amazing,
hilarious, and so honest as well. She said, "I can't believe you're so cheeky." Nobody said, "Where's your second book?" The way you said it, lad.
I do on a regular basis. I say, where is it? Where's book 2? When's book 3 going to be written?
Yeah. Oh, that's the nature of being the theology teacher, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
We've managed to get more books in than I thought we would tonight. Maybe what we should do next year is have a session where we talk about loads of books, and then another session where we do our top 10, and then I won't have to shoehorn in. And I'm like, we better finish because my brain's going, oh, you've not said this one. Oh, you could mention that one.
And that sounds like a good way to end it. But I think we've got something that we need to tell people about, haven't we, Kaz? Because we've got a live event coming next year.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say, oh, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Well, Merry
Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year. But go on, Kaz.
Good reminder.
Well done, Alex.
Well done. Really shoehorning in the reference to our live event. So we are having the first ever UKCBC live event. It is a day worth of cracking panels, and like, I cannot believe the people who have said that they are going to come and be on a panel for us. We are very honoured. It made some little happy dances, didn't it, amongst the organisers when people were saying yes. We were like,
and I am going to say the first person I suggested was William Shaw, because he helped us with setting the cameras up for this and getting us going, and he just has to be the honorary everything everywhere.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah, William Shaw is entirely the reason we do any kind of live thing. He taught us how to do it. He is a genuine legend on many levels.
And getting all giddy again.
Exactly. Without him, we wouldn't have all these interviews that we do for UKCBC. And he's a massive supporter of everyone.
Yeah.
So we did ask him. He is headlining with Ellie G and Leslie Thompson, who are just going to be fantastic all together. We've also got the Blood Brothers, we've got Francis Brodie, we've got T.G. Campbell, who was top on my list for last year as well. We've got all sorts. Chris Beck, he was on one of my top 10 reads. Yeah. So many.
We've got the Blood Brothers with Jonathan Whitelaw as a special guest.
Exactly. We're going to have a quiz. It is cracking, and it is £20 for the day. Like,
looking forward to meeting both of you in the post. Yeah, in real life as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to meet other members and authors and admins in real life. And for £20 for the day, don't think you can beat it. And Leeds, where it is, it's a very lovely place.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I'm just looking for the thing for reading party, and I can't find the whether it's .co.uk or .com.
I think it's co.uk, but I could be wrong.
Just Google reading party, and it's got a yellow background with white writing on it. Should really have thought of that ahead of time, but
actually, I think it's the Twitter handle.
.co.uk, readingparty.co.uk. Oh, it's not there at the moment, but yeah, you'll find him on Twitter and he's on Facebook.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then we'll finish there. Hopefully, we'll see everyone in the Flash next year.
Yeah.
Thank you both. That was really fun.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, brilliant. And have a good Christmas. We forgot the obvious there.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Read crime, don't commit it.
Nice line.
I know, that was pretty good.